The great chamber of the Galactic Unity Table was no longer filled with voices. The circular hall, once full of delegates from across the stars, now echoed with silence and tension. Draven Mail stood alone. He looked at the empty chair marked with Earth's emblem, a blue spiral over a silver star. Dust had started to gather on its surface. No one had touched it since humanity withdrew from the Council. It had been 30 days. 30 days since Earth sent its final message to the Unity. Effective immediately, all Terran delegates are recalled. No further statements. No explanation. No warning. No contact. And Draven, the only human left in the Unity, had not been recalled, forgotten, or left behind on purpose. He didn't know. Now, the galaxy was growing restless. Draven stood and cleared his throat. "I know Earth's silence troubles you all," he said, addressing the few who remained at the table. "It troubles me too. But I ask for patience. I believe there's more to this than we know." A tall figure slammed a fist on the polished table. Commander Cyrix Tal of the Draxian Empire leaned forward, eyes glowing faintly red. "Enough, human. You speak of patience while your world runs in the dark. What are you hiding? What are your people planning?" Murmurs filled the room. Draven looked around. The delegates were divided. Some watched with caution. Others looked away. "I don't know what happened," Draven said calmly, "but I'm going to find out. Earth never wanted war." Cyrix sneered. "Intentions mean nothing. Your silence is already an act of war." With that, Cyrix left the chamber. Several others followed. Only 3 remained, small system representatives too weak to leave or fight. Draven sat back down, feeling the cold weight of loneliness. The galaxy no longer trusted humans. He had to find the truth before Cyrix turned fear into fire. That night, back in his quarters, Draven reviewed old transmissions. He searched through encrypted messages, hoping for a clue. Nothing. Just static. Then one signal broke through. It wasn't official. It wasn't clean. But it was unmistakably Terran code. Draven played the short message. A shaky voice whispered, "The table was never safe. They made us choose." That was it. The message cut out. Draven froze. Who sent it? What did it mean? Who made them choose? And why did Earth leave so suddenly? He didn't have answers yet, but one thing was clear. Something bigger was happening. Something no one at the table understood. And he was going to uncover it, even if he had to do it alone. Draven Mail walked through the lower levels of Virelia Prime, far below the shining towers of the Galactic Unity building. Down here, the streets were darker, louder, and full of eyes that watched from the shadows. He kept his hood up. He didn't trust the message he had received, but he trusted the silence even less. Earth had said nothing for 30 days. Now someone whispered that the Unity itself was unsafe. Someone who said, "They made us choose." Who was they? And what choice had Earth been forced to make? As he crossed a market corner, he felt a sharp chill in the air. His instincts kicked in. Something was wrong. Then he saw it. A tall figure stepped from the shadows, raising a plasma knife. No words. No warning. Draven spun, dodging just in time. The blade cut through his cloak, but missed flesh. He ducked low, then punched the attacker in the gut. The figure stumbled, dropped the knife, and ran. Draven didn't chase. He stood still, breathing hard. This wasn't a thief. This was a message. Someone wanted him dead. He returned to his quarters, shaken but focused. The attack proved it. He was close to something dangerous. The next morning, news of the assault spread fast. But no one offered help. In the Unity chamber, fewer seats were filled than ever. Fear was spreading. Some systems were pulling out. Others were aligning with Cyrix Tal and his Draxian forces. Cyrix was gaining power fast. He stood that day with full armor, his voice strong and sharp. "Peace is dead," he said. "The galaxy must be strong. The Unity has failed. Those who stand alone will fall. Many agreed. Draven spoke up. This is not strength. This is surrender to fear. If we give in to it now, the galaxy will never know peace again. But his words had little effect. After the meeting, Draven met with someone he hadn't seen in a long time. Vera Nix, a Virilian intelligence officer. Small and quiet, she blended into the background. But she saw everything. I heard about the attack, she said. Draven nodded. I think someone inside the Unity knows what Earth found. She leaned closer. If that's true, you need to move fast. Syrinx is gathering support. He's using your silence to build an army. Draven paused. Can you help me track the signal source? I can try, she said. But we'll need someone who knows Draxian systems. Someone inside. Draven knew only one name. Corin Vale, a Draxian defector. Once a fleet captain, now hiding in the outer levels of Virilia. Draven sighed. Then I guess it's time to visit the Undercity. The path forward was dangerous. The clues were thin, and enemies were watching. But Draven wouldn't stop. The galaxy was sliding toward war, and he was running out of time. The air in the Undercity was thick and warm, filled with smoke and the hum of machines. Virilia Prime's lower levels were forgotten by most of the galaxy, dirty, chaotic, and full of secrets. Draven Mail moved through narrow walkways with Vera Nix at his side. She led the way, moving quickly through the maze of flickering lights and rusted steel. They were looking for Corin Vale. Corin was once a high-ranking officer in the Draxian fleet. He had turned against Syrinx years ago and disappeared. Rumor said he was hiding in the Undercity, working with smugglers and outcasts. If anyone knew how to trace the coded Terran message, or uncover what Syrinx was hiding, it was him. After an hour of moving through old tunnels, they found him in a dim workshop filled with broken drones and engine parts. Corin was tall, with gray skin and sharp features. He looked older than Draven remembered, but his eyes were alert. Didn't expect to see you here, Corin said. Last I heard, your people ran away. I stayed, Draven replied. Because I think something's wrong. I need your help. Corin crossed his arms. Why should I help a human? Vera stepped forward. Because if Syrinx wins, no one will be safe. Not even down here. That made Corin pause. Draven handed him a small data chip. This was part of a transmission sent in Terran code. I think it came from Earth, just before they left. Corin looked it over. Give me a few hours. While they waited, Draven checked the galactic newsfeed. More systems had left the Unity. Some had declared neutrality. A few had pledged loyalty to the Draxian Empire. The Unity table was collapsing. Later that night, Corin returned with results. This message didn't come from Earth, he said. At least, not directly. It bounced through a hidden relay, a classified Unity comms satellite. Draven frowned. Why would a Unity satellite send a Terran message? Because someone wanted it seen, Corin replied, but not tracked. It's a warning, sure, but it's also a clue. He handed Draven a location tag. There's an archive hidden on Virilia's second moon, a deep vault. Old Unity records, kept off the network. That's where you'll find the rest of the message. Draven nodded. Then that's our next stop. Before they left, Vera checked her scanner. Bad news. Syrinx's ships just entered Virilia's orbit. He's not here for peace. Draven looked up at the gray ceiling. The sky above was no longer safe. Then we move fast, he said, before this all burns. Together, the three of them, Draven, Vera, and Corin, left the Undercity and headed for a stolen transport ship. Draven didn't know what he'd find in the archive. But he knew this. Whatever truth Earth had uncovered, it had been enough to make them walk away from the galaxy. And now, it was up to him to finish what they started. The transport ship shook as it entered the atmosphere of Virilia's second moon. Draven Mail sat strapped in, staring at the data tag Corin had given him. This was the location of the Unity's off-grid archive, built long ago to store sensitive records, records no one wanted publicly known. Vera sat beside him, checking her weapons. Corinne was at the controls, guiding them through thick clouds and icy winds. "I don't like this," Vera said. "No defense systems, no patrols. It's too quiet." "It's supposed to be forgotten," Corinne replied. "That's why it's still useful." They landed near a rocky ridge. The entrance to the archive was buried beneath layers of frozen soil and rusted metal doors. With effort, they forced the doors open. Inside, it was cold and dark. They moved carefully through the narrow halls. The lights flickered as backup power kicked in. Shelves lined the walls, filled with old data cores and sealed containers. Vera found the access console. Draven plugged in the chip Corinne had decrypted. It matched with a hidden section of the archive. Locked files, marked Eyes Only, Level Black. The files opened slowly. Draven read them in silence. His hands tightened. Vera stepped closer. "What is it?" Draven looked up. Earth didn't leave the Unity because it wanted to. It left because it discovered the Unity was compromised. Corinne leaned in. Compromised how? There were secret meetings, Unity leaders working with Syrinx, plans to reshape the Council, remove weaker voices, and use the table as a tool to control entire systems. Peace was no longer the goal. Control was. Draven pulled up a video log. Earth's council leader, a woman named Chancellor Lyra, appeared. She spoke in a low voice. "We have been warned. Unity is no longer neutral. We must leave. If we stay, we become part of the lie. Let history judge us later. Our silence may protect more than our words ever could." The log ended. Vera shook her head. They didn't run. They pulled out to stop it from getting worse. Corinne frowned. And now Syrinx is pushing that plan forward without resistance. Draven stared at the data. The proof was here. The galaxy needed to see it, but time was short. His comm buzzed. It was a wideband emergency signal from Virelia Prime. Syrinx's fleet had arrived. Draven's heart sank. He's going to destroy the Unity table and rebuild it under his rule. Vera grabbed her gear. "Then we go back now. We show the galaxy the truth before he buries it." Draven nodded. "It's our only chance." They loaded the files onto a secure drive and ran back to the ship. The final battle wasn't just about weapons. It was about truth. If they failed, the galaxy would follow Syrinx into war. If they succeeded, maybe, just maybe, there was still hope. The sky above Virelia Prime burned red. Dozens of Draxian warships hovered over the capital city, casting long shadows over the Unity Tower. Alarms blared through the streets. Civilians ran for cover. Defensive cannons fired into the sky, but they were no match for Syrinx's fleet. Draven Mail stood at the edge of the landing bay, watching it all unfold. He had returned with Vera and Corinne just before the attack began. In his hands, he held the secure drive with Earth's hidden message. Proof that the Unity had been compromised, and Earth had left to protect the galaxy, not abandon it. "We need to broadcast this now," Vera said, hooking up the drive to a signal tower in the Unity's lower levels. Corinne kept watch, weapon ready. "If Syrinx finds us, he'll shut it down." Draven nodded. "Then we move fast." The plan was simple. Use the Unity's emergency network to send the message across the entire galactic system. Every planet, every leader, every citizen would see the truth. But Syrinx already knew they were back. A deafening boom shook the tower as a blast hit the lower section. The building trembled. "They're targeting the comm relays," Vera shouted. "We need to go up." Draven yelled. They climbed the emergency stairway, floor by floor, as more explosions echoed through the city. Smoke filled the halls. Power flickered. They reached the top floor, the Unity chamber. The great table stood in the center, cracked and scorched, but still standing. and Syrinx was waiting. He stepped from the shadows, armor shining, red eyes glowing. "You should have stayed hidden, Draven," he said coldly. "Now you'll die with the table." Draven stepped forward. "It's over, Syrinx. I have the truth. Everyone will see what you did." Syrinx raised his weapon. "No one will believe a traitor." "I don't need them to believe me," Draven said, stalling. "I just need them to hear." Behind him, Vera hit the final command. The message from Earth began broadcasting galaxy-wide. The image of Chancellor Lyra filled the room. Her voice rang out, clear and steady. "Unity has fallen. We did not leave out of fear. We left because the Council had become a weapon, and we would not be part of its destruction." Across the stars, screens lit up with the message. Planets paused. Systems watched. Syrinx roared and charged. Draven ducked the first strike and blocked the second. The two clashed in the center of the chamber. Steel met steel. Sparks flew. It wasn't a long battle, but it was brutal. Finally, Draven knocked Syrinx to the ground, disarmed him, and stood over him. "You've lost," Draven said. Syrinx glared. "You think peace will save them?" "No," Draven said, "but truth might." Guards rushed in. Syrinx was taken away, screaming of power, war, and vengeance. Outside, the battle ended. Many of Syrinx's ships stood down after hearing the broadcast. Some even surrendered. Others fled. The skies of Virelia began to clear. Draven stood in the Unity chamber, covered in dust and ash. The table was cracked. The alliances were broken. But the truth had been spoken. And that was the first step towards something new. The fires across Virelia Prime had died down. Smoke still rose from the distant hills, but the bombing had stopped. The city was damaged, but alive. The skies were no longer red. Draven Mail stood at the edge of the Unity chamber, looking out through the shattered glass wall. The chamber was quiet now. No shouting, no fear, just silence and tired relief. He was alive. Syrinx had been taken into custody. His fleet had scattered. Some of his generals surrendered, others fled into deep space, but the attack on Virelia had failed. More importantly, the galaxy had seen the truth. The message from Earth had reached every major system. News feeds, secure military lines, even civilian broadcasts had carried it. For the first time, people understood why Earth left the Unity. Not out of pride, not to plan an attack, but because they had seen the corruption growing inside the system and had walked away to protect peace. And now, Earth's voice had returned. Delegates from across the stars began arriving at the Unity chamber again. Some came cautiously, others arrived in silence, but they came. The table, once nearly abandoned, slowly began to fill. Draven watched as the seats were taken one by one. Small systems, tree planets, even rival empires, all returned. No one forgot the damage Syrinx had caused. But now, they wanted to rebuild. And they wanted him to lead the first session. Vera stood beside him. "They still don't trust each other," she said. "Or you." "I know," Draven replied. "But trust isn't built in a day. It starts with someone taking the first step." He stepped forward, placing his hand on Earth's chair. The silver and blue symbol still glowed. He sat down. Eyes turned toward him. Silence fell. Draven looked at each delegate. "We all saw what fear can do," he said. "We saw how silence divides, how truth, no matter how painful, must be spoken." The Unity table cracked, but it didn't break. No one interrupted. He continued, "We can rebuild it, not as a tool of control, but as a space of understanding. Not perfect, not easy, but honest." A long pause. Then one by one, the delegates nodded. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was real. And that was enough. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds. Ships circled overhead, not as threats, but as symbols of a fragile peace waiting to grow. Draven sat back in his chair. He wasn't sure what came next. But for the first time in a long time, the galaxy was listening, and the table was no longer empty.